In the opening scene of the movie, two unidentified people are making out passionately. The man's phone rings and he gets text messages asking where he is. Afterward, Brooke, a New York art gallery owner, gets home from traveling and meets her husband Owen at home. The couple confesses missing each other, but they suspect something is amiss between them. Brooke seems suspicious of her husband and Owen also suspects some foul play from his wife. However, neither ask any questions. Then, there is a flashback to 5 days earlier where it all began. Brooke sets up her art gallery for her upcoming exhibition, working until evening. She gets home late. While on the bed with her husband, Brooke receives a text message from Ansgar, a painter she recently partnered with, but Owen is not pleased with him texting at such an hour. Owen thinks he is texting her at such an hour because of the time zone difference, but Brooke informs him that Ansgar has arrived in the city. In the next scene, Ansgar gets interviewed by Diana. His painting is mostly of unclad women. He tells Diana a shocking revelation. He has gotten down with all the women he painted so far. He even boasts that the married women demand more from him. Brooke is shocked by his carefree attitude. Owen, who is also present, is shocked to see the kind of guy they paid to fly over. Ansgar says he only paints women who are special to him. He is so confident in his sexiness and brags about how it's so easy for women to fall for his looks and appeal. Seeing how personal and intense the interview is getting, Brooke cuts in and tells Diana there's no need for personal questions. In response, Diana advises Brooke not to consider Ansgar because of his personality, even though he is brilliant. She believes the critics will go after her and there may be consequences. Brooke argues that artists like Picasso were also criticized and she stands firmly with her beliefs regardless of what the critics think. Ansgar sees Owen and asks Brooke if he is her husband. He does not pay much attention to Owen, but he tells him his wife is a badass. He mentions that he is interested in Brooke and believes she is beginning to feel interested in him too. Owen can't believe what he's hearing, but he keeps his cool. Owen and Brooke meet with their attorney friends, Adam and Alina, who are also a couple. They drink to celebrate Brooke's new gallery. They start talking about their next vacation, but Brooke is fixated on opening her gallery, so other commitments are on hold for her. However, Owen wants to go on a Christmas vacation with his wife and believes the vacation should be planned before she gets super busy. Further into their conversation, Brooke is not pleased when Owen tells their friends of their fertility journey so far. Just then, Brooke receives a text from Ansgar, which prompts her to tell her friend about him and his artistic journey so far. Ansgar calls Brooke. This is when Owen tells their friends how Ansgar texts in the middle of the night and how he fancies having sexual relations with married women. Their friends who are divorce attorneys say people like Ansgar help their business, and they share that their job made them realize that almost everyone cheats. Brooke seems disturbed after hearing this and she excuses herself to go to the ladies' bathroom. When they get back home, Brooke apologizes for being unavailable for Owen because of work. Owen tells her he is serious about going on a vacation to Paris after she is done with the opening of her art gallery. He wants them to spend Christmas there. As beautiful as the plan sounds, Brooke says she can't go because the real selling begins after the opening night. Additionally, there are more press conferences for Ansgar and she has to be with him during those events. Owen agrees reluctantly. He steps out with the flight tickets he already bought for them. Back inside, a lady named Sarah texts Owen and Brooke sees it. She mentions something about meeting the next night and asks that the message be deleted. Brooke checks the phone further and sees that the Sarah lady has been calling Owen and even left him a voicemail. After realizing he has forgotten his phone, Owen goes back inside to pick it up before Brooke listens to the voicemail. Brooke casually asks if Sarah is one of the producers and he says yes. However, Brooke suspects something is amiss. In the next scene, Brooke's plans for the opening day are yet to fall into place. She has 4 days to go before the big day. Outside, she sees Ansgar talking to Amanda Gisler, her competitor. This baffles her because Amanda already has a lot of artists and sees no reason why she would approach him. When she brings up her concern to Ansgar, he accuses her of being jealous. Meanwhile, the repairman tells Brooke of a repair that needs to be done which will cost her a lot. This is when Ansgar assures her that soon, she will be able to afford so many things that seem out of reach for her. Next, they go into Brooke's office where Ansgar tells her of a big customer that he knows. He is referring to the celebrity actor, Damian Light, stating that he is a big catch for Brooke. However, they will have to go and meet him in Paris as soon as possible, and still be back in time for the opening. Brooke is both pleased to hear the good news and shocked to learn that she has to go on an unplanned trip halfway around the world to seal the deal, especially since many things need to be done at the office. Ansgar urges her to come along because he is not good with business dealings. He also believes she is holding back because of her husband and tells her that with or without her, he is going to Paris. Confused about how to tell her husband after declining his offer to travel to Paris, Brooke consults with her attorney friend Alina. Alina advises her to tell Owen how big the deal is, but downplay the part where she tells him she will be in the same hotel as Ansgar. This is because of his reputation, which is quite controversial, and also because Owen does not clearly like the guy. Brooke meets her husband at work in the production company. She brings coffee with her to get him into a good mood. Brooke tells him about the interest Damian Light has shown in buying some of Ansgar's art. Owen is happy to hear the news, but is understandably shocked when Brooke mentions going to Paris. First, because she refused to go to Paris with him, and second, because she is going with Ansgar. Seeing the way things are, Owen asks his production manager to book him a work trip to Vegas, and he gets back to work. That night, Owen goes out, thinking Brooke is asleep. As soon as he leaves, Brooke checks his GPS location using a tablet. The next morning, the couple don't see each other before leaving for work. Brooke leaves him a message, asking him to call her, since she will be leaving for Paris that night. On her way, she sees a mother and daughter at the park. The scene makes her emotional, since she and Owen have been unsuccessful in having a baby. When Owen gets back from work, Brooke is packing for her travel. He explains that the reason for him going out so late the previous night was to get featured on some news story. Owen apologizes for being upset with her, citing how he wants their first Paris visit to be memorable. When Owen sees the sexy clothes she is packing for her trip, he starts feeling even more insecure. Later, Owen goes to the bar with his friend, Adam, and expresses his feelings about Brooke's trip. Adam thinks he is overthinking things and points out that he has been with Brooke since high school. Therefore, there is no need for any mistrust whatsoever. Still, Owen worries if she still loves him like before. Adam stops him from getting drunk and urges him to leave the bar because Alina doesn't like him staying out late. However, as they are about to leave, a girl named Amy recognizes Owen. She's a journalism student and she makes small talk with him, talking about their profession and how she is a fan of his work. She asks if he is Adam's boyfriend, but he says no, and mentions that his wife is out of town. Amy asks Owen to stay and meet her friend, who is also his fan. Meanwhile, in Paris, the meeting with Damien Light's representatives turns out to be a success. They end up buying 5 paintings and even give permission for Damien's name to be used alongside the collections he approved. As the deal is ongoing, Ansgar gives Brooke's thigh a gentle squeeze underneath the table. He tries going upwards, but Brooke pushes his hand away. Back at the bar, when Owen tries to leave, Amy seems disappointed and she asks for an autograph. She also asks that Owen's friend take a picture of them. After that, she insists that Owen waits to meet her friend Brianna. Adam gives up on convincing him since he is so adamant about staying back, so he leaves without Owen. Amy wants to order some drinks. When Owen seems to be in a haste to go home, she points out how he said earlier that his wife is out of town, implying that there's no need to rush. Just then, her friend's message pops up, saying she has to bail. She quickly picks up her phone so Owen doesn't see the message, and excuses herself. After she leaves, Owen asks for the check from the bartender, saying he needs to go home. Back in Paris, Brooke and Ansgar celebrate their victory. He compliments her business skills. As she thinks about how far she has come while staring out the window into the bright Paris night, Ansgar draws closer to her from behind. She feels uncomfortable and tries to go to her room. However, Ansgar suggests they have one more drink before leaving. Meanwhile, back at their house, Owen gets down and dirty with Amy. While this is ongoing, they push a flower vase off the table, and at the same time, we see Brooke's messages bombarding his phone. After the deed, Owen tells Amy that he loves his wife regardless of what just happened between them. At the hotel, after she's unable to reach her husband repeatedly, Brooke checks out before the set time and leaves for her home. When she gets home, she embraces Owen, failing to notice the cracked flower pot from last night's forbidden encounter. This specific moment mirrors the beginning of the movie. Now we are all caught up. The next day, the gallery is almost ready for the opening day. The paintings have all been arranged, but Ansgar brings in another artwork that Brooke is not aware of. Upon opening it, the painting has a striking resemblance to a naked Brooke. She is flabbergasted and requests that he cover it up because it looks like her, but Ansgar playfully insists that it's not her. When asked the name, he says it will be called Brooke or Dreams in Paris. Since Ansgar only paints women he slept with, the painting might be a hint that something forbidden happened back in Paris. At the show that night, the turnout is great. Owen walks through the painting till he sees Brooke laughing with Ansgar. As they pose for a picture, he holds her in and places his hand intimately on her waist. Owen sees this and he doesn't like it at all. Later on, Owen talks to Adam and Alina. He talks down on Ansgar's work out of jealousy. While they are talking about Brooke, we see her come out of a door with Ansgar. He keeps whispering something to her ear while she laughs. When Owen has had enough, he goes over and asks what they are whispering about. Brooke happily tells him that the museum is interested in one of the paintings, and this happens to be the one that looks exactly like her. Ansgar excuses himself after a pretty lady across the room catches his attention. When Owen turns around to look, it happens to be Amy, the student from the bar that he porked in his house. Panic-stricken, he nervously faces and talks to his friend. Adam recognizes her as the girl from the bar. Owen pleads with Adam to back him up, because he's going to pretend he doesn't know Amy. However, Adam reminds him of the picture he took and thinks lying will make things more complicated. Still, Owen is bent on denying having met Amy to his wife. When it's time to close gallery for the day, Brooke and Alina rejoin with the guys. Then, she notices that her husband's mood has changed, and she also sees Amy with Ansgar. Brooke asks Owen if he knows Amy, and he denies it, even though Adam wants to suggest he may have met her somewhere. Ansgar takes Amy to meet Brooke, which causes her to see Owen. Even as Amy tries to claim they have met, Owen denies it vehemently. At this point, Brooke suspects that her husband is hiding something. After Adam and Alina leave, Owen feels uncomfortable in Amy's presence, so he goes outside to wait for Brooke. Seeing Owen has left, Amy decides to leave as well, but Ansgar follows her. Brooke feels uncomfortable with what's happening, so she suggests he talks with their paying customer, but Ansgar suggests she should do that instead, while he goes with Amy. Ansgar drops Amy off at Owen's doorstep, thinking that's where Amy lives. However, Amy clarifies that she's there to drop something off and he should get going. However, wanting to score, Ansgar insists on waiting for her. Amy rings the doorbell, and when Owen sees her, he panics. He asks what she wants, so she begs him to let her in, since his wife is not at home. She has something important to reveal. Hearing this, he reluctantly lets her in, while Ansgar is still waiting outside. We find out that apparently, her meeting Owen at the bar that night is a setup by Brooke from the get-go. Then, a flashback takes us to when they had some drinks with Adam and Alina sometime back. This is when Adam and Alina stated that everyone cheats, and Brooke excused herself. When Brooke goes to the ladies' bathroom, Alina meets her there. She is upset that Owen keeps complaining about Ansgar texting all the time, even if he also texts people in the middle of the night. Alina assures her that it's because he is a journalist and they work round the clock. Brooke is worried since he's been acting weird lately, but Alina advises her to just give her man some attention and ignore her phone for the rest of the evening. We also get to see at time Brooke meets up with Alina in her office. She tells her about using Owen's iPad to track his movement. This is because she feels worried about the suspicious text he got from the mysterious Sarah, coupled with the fact that he has been acting weird lately. Brooke trusts that he is not cheating, but wants to know if he would when faced with an opportunity. Alina suggests some way to find out. She tells her to hire a decoy to flirt with him. Brooke is worried that the decoy might decide to go all the way if Owen takes the bait, but Alina assures her that they have a professional code of ethics, so it's not possible. She gives her the agency's number, just in case she needs to use their services. One night, Brooke tracks Owen's location and discovers that he is heading to a B&B apartment. She calls him, but he does not pick up, causing her anxiety to worsen. She also sees a notification on the tablet stating that Owen ordered sushi for two, making her suspicion grow. Without waiting any longer, Brooke calls the decoy agency number that Alina gave her. The next day, she meets up with Amy, the operative for the decoy job. She is given half the payment, and will receive the other half when she gives Brooke some video and audio evidence. After getting all the necessary information on Owen, Brooke still feels reluctant about the whole process. Amy assures her that she has a boyfriend who she is in love with, and nothing will happen with her and Owen. She tells Brooke that her number is saved as Brianna, and whenever she feels like canceling the deal, she has to send a specific text, such as wanting to bail. Back in Paris, we go back to the scene after the deal with Damien Light has been sealed. Ansgar suggests they have one more drink, but Brooke suddenly remembers her husband. She realizes she doesn't want to continue testing him, so she sends Amy the required message about wanting to bail. Upon getting the message, Amy excuses herself at the bar to go to the ladies' bathroom. Since she has been enjoying Owen's company so far, she is having second thoughts about ending the deal. We find out that she has a huge crush on Owen, so she decides to be unprofessional and pursue her own agenda. Meanwhile in Paris, Ansgar is trying his best to seduce Brooke. When Amy gets back to the bar, she sees that Owen is about to leave. She signals the guy secretly making the video evidence to stop and he leaves. We cut to the scene where Brooke and Ansgar are drinking. She asks why he chose her, instead of her competitor Amanda Gisler. He flirts with her, stating she is more beautiful and he didn't want to share the spotlight at the gallery. He thanks her for giving him the chance to do a solo art show. His stares and words loosen her up and she lets her guard down a little. All the while he continues to rizz her up. He then tells her that he wants to show her something in his room. But Brooke is still fixated on the fact that Amy has not replied to her text, which means something is not right. She realizes that her plan may have been a huge mistake, and she excuses herself from the bar. Brooke sends several messages to Owen, but there is poor reception, so none of the messages are delivered. She is growing more anxious, not knowing the outcome of her plan. Hours later, after Owen finishes porking Amy, he eventually picks up Brooke's call while Amy dresses up to leave. She asks if he went to the bar the night with Adam. He confirms that he did. It is obvious that he's nervous while on the call. After Brooke has packed up to leave earlier than expected, she meets Ansgar on the way out. He confesses that he has feelings for her and can't stop thinking about her, but this tactic doesn't work on her. Ansgar is frustrated that she refused him. We now learn the reason why Ansgar did a painting that looks like the naked Brooke. Some time before the exhibit, Amy meets with Brooke at the art gallery just as Ansgar is leaving. When asked what happened to the plan, Amy lies to Brooke, stating that her phone ran out of battery and that her videographer didn't show up. She confirms that Owen is completely faithful and passed the test. However, she has no evidence to show for it. Brooke wants to get more details on what happened at the date, and Amy gives her a false report. She claims he was not into her at all. Brooke is confused because she never got a text back, and Amy says there was no need since he didn't take the bait. When Brooke asks for proof, Amy gives her the napkin that Owen autographed. Feeling guilty, Amy rejects final payment, but Brooke urges her to accept it, since it is not her fault that she couldn't procure better evidence. Amy takes it nervously, but Brooke still has mixed feelings. So, she invites Amy to the opening day of the exhibit, thinking that this might help shed light on any unresolved mystery. Back to the opening night, after Owen goes outside, Amy follows him requesting to talk. But before they could speak further, Ansgar shows up and asks to take Amy for a drink. Then he sees Owen and taunts him, which results in Owen punching him. They get into a fight and are only separated when Brooke and Amy intervene. Ansgar walks off with Amy, and Brooke tells Owen that she is severing her business partnership with Ansgar. As they walk home, Owen still denies knowing Amy or meeting her at the bar. Then Brooke gives him the autographed napkin, confusing him and making him stutter. Brooke confronts him for not opening up to her about meeting Amy. He tries to make it seem like it's not a big deal. After getting in a cab, he mentions taking a picture with her. Brooke gets even more confused and suspicious. This totally contradicts Amy's claim that her phone's battery was drained. Then, Brooke asks to know if anything more serious happened, and he acknowledges that there's more to the story. Brooke hurriedly steps out of the cab, and Owen chases after her, begging her to forgive him. He insists that he has never been unfaithful in all their years together, except this one time. Brooke angrily demands that he hands her his phone. She takes it with her, intending to check all of its content later. Owen goes home feeling dejected and blames himself for all that has happened. Meanwhile, Brooke goes to meet Alina, telling her that she knows the truth about Owen. This brings us back to the present where Amy is at Owen's place, telling him about being hired as a decoy, and Ansgar is waiting for her outside. Owen gets really upset and confused. However, Amy confesses that she was not supposed to go all the way with him and that was her mistake. Meanwhile, Brooke intends to sleep over at Alina's place. She proceeds to check Owen's phone and sees the message from Sarah, including the one that includes the address. After listening to the voicemail from Sarah, Brooke realizes that she is his work informant. But most importantly, she has been secretly helping him plan the Paris trip he wants to take Brooke on. The apartment he went off to see in the middle of the night was for a late-night stakeout of a big news story. The sushi he ordered was for him and his workmate. Brooke realizes that her suspicion is wrong, so she immediately goes home. When she gets there, she is shocked to see Ansgar outside. He then informs her that Amy is inside. When she goes inside, she sees Owen and Amy talking, and a confrontation ensues. She accuses him of breaking her trust, but Owen lets her know she had created the circumstances in the first place. He finds it tragic and funny that the one time he messed up was because of Brooke's intervention. They argue back and forth for a while. Amy chimes in, shamelessly accusing Brooke of ruining a great relationship, even though she screwed up her part of the job as well. She leaves them, and doesn't bother going with Ansgar, who has been waiting outside. All he gets for waiting is a middle finger from Amy. Owen demands to know if anything happened on her trip to Paris with Ansgar, but she refuses to answer the question. We see another flashback of what happened in Paris. When Brooke was not able to contact her husband, she cries and tells Ansgar that Owen is cheating on her. Owen grabs the opportunity to lead her to his room. When they get there, he shows her a street corner from the window, stating it is where he used to sleep before when he was a struggling artist, thanking her for getting him out of that situation. Thinking that Brooke will finally give in, he undresses her and tries to initiate a sinful act. But at the last moment, Brooke tells him she can't go through with it. Despite not cheating, she refuses to tell Owen if she slept with Ansgar or not, messing with his head. In the last scene, Owen packs up to leave for his Vegas work trip. As he is about to step out, Brooke asks if he will be back for Christmas, or if this is the end for them. Then, he shows her the Paris plane tickets he bought, pointing out that their flight will depart in 3 hours. For a brief moment, we see a different scene where Owen and Brooke standing by a Christmas tree with their baby. A heartwarming scene that is either their future, or a representation of what could have been. After that, we go to the present, where Owen is showing Brooke the Paris tickets. He asks if he should get his money back, but she smiles. Somehow, despite the messy emotional games and the serious breach of marital trust, it seems like they are choosing to stay together.